To do the things that I want to do, I need a van on 1 tons and 40. And the van that I want to start with costs $160,000, but the one that I can afford costs me about $7,000. It needs to be capable enough to do the Rubicon Trail, get 20 miles a gallon, hopefully, and make it all the way to the Arctic Ocean. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the launch of Project Vanny DeVito? Vanny Trejo? Something like that. I do like Vanny DeVito. Because I find that Danny DeVito is a little bit off-putting to look at, much like this van. However, at the end of the day, I also really do like Danny DeVito, much like this van. If you're like me and you 3D printed some kids over the years and you've got a family that you like to go off-road with, you want to stick around for this next part. Because I know that I'm going to look in the analytics, and now that I've unveiled this beautiful van, the ugliest thing that I've probably ever bought, I know that there's going to be a lot of people clicking off this video. I'm going to look at the analytics and I'm going to see a graph that looks like this. But if you're like me and you have a family, and you go off-road with them, you want to stick around for at least this next couple minutes while we talk about why you should be looking at a bigger truck. Because here's the reality. There are tons of people my age with kids, with dogs, with awesome Tacomas, Gladiators, Rangers, Nissan Frontiers, Chevy Colorados, these small footprint trucks, go fast campers on them, deck systems, Alu cabs maybe, and whatever. And if you're honest with yourself and you calculate the weight carrying capacity of any of those small trucks, you way exceed it with just the very basic mods on that truck. And that is a safety standard for that truck. So the reality is we are putting everything that is like the most important things to us in the world in this tiny chassis. And not only is it a little cramped inside, but doable. I'm living this life. You are pushing that truck beyond what the engineers say it's rated to do. And I'm serious. Do the basic calculations and you will see what I'm talking about. I know that there's gonna be a lot of people over the next couple of years that are gonna be looking at full-size platforms. We heavily considered going to a full-size truck with maybe a camper kind of thing. But to be honest, after doing research for at least 4 to 5 years on vans for the family as an option, I can tell you that this, as ugly as it is gonna be one of the cheapest, most well-rounded options you could possibly spend money on. Because at the end of the day, when this is on 37s or 40s, this is gonna have a better approach angle than my Tacoma, a better departure angle than my Gladiator, and this is only 1 inch longer wheelbase than my Gladiator. So this is actually the perfect footprint for a comfortable mini RV that can do the Rubicon and can go long distances and even tow. This is gonna be probably the most well-rounded thing I've ever built, and possibly the lowest performing series I've ever done on the channel. So we're gonna see who decides to stick around. Let's start with the meat and potatoes of this thing. The interior. This is the whole reason that I like this thing. We had a diesel pusher RV for 7 years, 36 foot. I loved it. There's things that I really liked about it, things I hated about it. This has the stuff that I like. We've got a fridge, we have a stove top, we have running water, very simple. The way this is set up it definitely takes advantage of any little cubby or extra space that could be taken advantage of. But it also doesn't have the huge cons of an RV. And if you own an RV, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They're made out of fiberglass and plastic, and your entire job as the owner of an RV is to keep it from melting in the rain and just melting back into the earth, or blistering in the hot sun of Arizona or whatever and slowly turning into dust and going back into the earth. It's a frustrating endeavor. This is just a sheet of steel all the way around it, and the only seal that could leak is the one on top. But because the way the seal is designed and all that overlap, I imagine you don't see a lot of leaks in these, especially in comparison to an RV. So this sleeps 4 people, which is a bare minimum for us. You can slide this lower seat down and it turns into a bed, and then this is a bed up here. I just have the top part of the bed here. I'll slide out so you can see. So you can go into that mode. And the reason that I wanted this is because I have a family of 4. And then the dog will just sleep right here where my feet are. We got plenty of space for the whole family. And we're gonna be going to bear country, grizzly bear country specifically. And I like the idea that we're not gonna be in a rooftop tent that we have to get out of if we hear bears in the middle of the night. Instead, we would just pull the kids out of that little platform up there, pull the top down, fire up the van, and drive away. That's nice. Also, I've never felt comfortable staying in a rooftop tent and like a rest area or something like that. I feel on long trips, I feel completely confident staying in a rest area in something like this for the same reasons. If stuff starts to get weird outside, you can pull that top down and drive away. It's so much faster deployment and takedown. And then whenever you look at all the other factors, that this is an old interior. It's from 2003, but it's a smart design. And I like the fact that I don't have to have like a bag that I dig through for all my clothes. I can just hang all the clothes up, have a dirty clothes bag in the bottom. And the organization that comes with something like this is obviously very attractive. This van already has a full float disc brake 1-ton rear axle, but there is a lot more drivetrain that we need to settle on. And honestly, there is a hidden benefit of this 3/4 ton truck that I didn't even consider for some reason until I bought it. And now I realize that it's also a really good tow truck. We currently have 572,371 miles in this thing. I've been driving it non-stop since I bought it 3 weeks ago, and I even started towing with it. I'm very impressed. I know this is not the original engine and transmission. It can't be, but it just shows that if you take care of your toys, Toyota people, I know you think only Toyotas last this long, but I've owned many vehicles over 300K, none of them Toyotas. So if you take care of your toys, they last a lot longer. That said, I'm not super impressed with the power output of this 5.4 liter Ford motor, gas V8. And I really heavily considered going with an OM606 Mercedes engine, and those are great. Those would be killer if we weren't gonna tow. But once I started towing with this, I was like, oh, that's right. It's a 3/4 ton truck. Of course, it tows great. It's a little lackluster in the power department, but it stops awesome. It handles weight great. And I would like to not have to always stay in the back seat of my Kodiak every time I go on a long trip and I'm towing my Samurai somewhere. So I'm pretty sure I have a power plant figured out for this thing. This old red Dodge is just kind of melting away in the rain, and it is super reliable. Over 300,000 on this Cummins. This is like my third Cummins with over 300,000. Starts no problem, not even smoky or anything, and it reliably gets anywhere between 24 and 26 miles per gallon in this truck, in this setup with a manual transmission. So I'm hoping that with somewhere between a 38 and a 40 on this E250, with the right gearing and with the right mods to this engine, we could possibly transplant this into the van and get hopefully at least 20 miles per gallon. My wife's Gladiator gets like 20 to 22 on a 40-inch tall tire, so I'm hoping that with the van we can get somewhere similar to that. There is still a giant problem with the 5.9 Cummins, and that's the fact that it weighs 1,100 pounds dry. I'm very much a weight-conscious builder, and I like to build with weight in mind. I know that these vans did come with a 7.3 Power Stroke, so getting the right spring rates would be relatively easy, I think, because I think that engine is only like 100 pounds less than the 5.9 Cummins. I love that I own the 5.9 Cummins. I know that it's reliable because I've been using it. It's just difficult for me to commit to putting something that heavy in a rig that I actually want to wheel. This is not a van life thing where I'm just going to stay on pavement and light dirt roads. This is going to do the Rubicon. So the idea of pulling out a lightweight V8, putting in an 1,100 pound engine is difficult for me to wrap my head around. So that said, I'm curious of what you would do. I'm gonna go diesel because I wanna convert everything over to diesel and electric. I want no propane on board. Propane is dangerous in an RV. Other RV owners can account. They light RVs on fire all the time because of propane leaks. So I'd like the idea of doing a diesel heater, electric. So I want the engine to be diesel, so I just have basically one fuel type to bring, period. Would you do a lighter OM606, the Mercedes 3-liter diesel? Or would you do what I'm looking at? 5.9 Cummins, deal with the cons of that extra weight up front, and just make everything nice and heavy duty. I'm still leaning 5.9 Cummins, but it is difficult for me to make that decision. So I'm curious on what your thoughts are. Also, I need help naming the van. Do you like Vanny DeVito? Is there something better, kind of funny that you're into that you think would be a better name for this van? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, I'm still considering colors. I want to figure out a wrap probably of some kind. So there's a lot up in the air. I'm going to change out the whole front end to make it the more modern, like E350 front end. So this won't look like it's from the 90s and early 2000s. It's going to look like I think 2014 and newer, or something like that. More research is necessary there. If you watched my last video where I shared something very personal and I had lost a couple of friends in an off-road accident, You might be putting two and two together that Nate all of a sudden is talking about this van. There were some comments that really struck a chord with me in that video, where there were people saying, man, if you really want to do this Alaska trip that you had planned with Matt and Stacy, you need to get it on a calendar, you need to put something together for it, and you need to do it. And they're absolutely right. I have been wanting to go to Alaska for 5 years, and I keep pushing it off next year, next year, next year. So after I get done with the Portal Axle build series, which I've been filming over the last couple weeks, the last episode of it, I think we're gonna hit the ground running on the van. I already bought a big heavy duty front axle for it. It'll just be at that point deciding on drivetrain, building suspension, just starting to just do the damn thing. So Matt heavily influenced this purchase, and he heavily influenced my want to make an RV that can wheel, because that was our plan. He was gonna have that Chinook dialed. I was gonna have my van. He wanted to be like the first RV, we think, on the Rubicon. And so I'm extremely motivated and inspired to do this project. And I think that we're gonna end up doing it sooner than later. So thank you so much for watching. I'm back from my 6-week hiatus of not making any content this summer. And now you're gonna start seeing regular videos again. So I appreciate all the support. We'll see you on the next one.